Live from Lagos, Olanrewaju Oniyitan, the founder and executive director, Seed Care and Support Foundation. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Good evening. Happy to be here.
Okay, all right. So what are your thoughts on the just concluded UTME, how the exam went and then the release of the results? What are your thoughts on the process?
All right. Building on what Dr. Peter just said, this is not a great time for our nation because we're showing that our children are not capable of getting into tertiary education. If we look at the sheer number of the children that scored below 200, it tells a lot about our education system, but it also doesn't tell the true picture, just like Dr. Peter mentioned. Because there were a lot of challenges during the exams, starting from even when the exams started. I don't know why there should be letters that had 6:30 a.m. as to when the exam started, and we had some children still writing exams in some centers up until 8 p.m. So that was a very stressful time for the children to take the exams. But then there were also many reports of system glitches, IT issues, them being logged out and having to log back on again. So it's a lot. And even after the exams, it actually took quite a number of days before results were released. So, of course, there are many issues that needs to be investigated. But this doesn't tell a good story about our transition rates from secondary to tertiary education. It really is not a great way to paint the light of our education system in Nigeria. It's not this bad. I do believe that there are challenges within our education sector, but I do think this particular situation is not a true and fair view of what is happening with our children.
Okay, all right. So if we were to look at one of the criticisms that JAMB has faced, that is the duration of the examinations. So would you perhaps recommend that JAMB should extend the expiration timeline for results? Because if we are also to look at the economic capability of lots of Nigerians, they might not be able to achieve, they might not have enough money to go to school for that year, so they will delay to the next year. So what do you have to say about the timeline for JAMB expiration? Do you think it should be extended or it is fine as it is?
So as an organization that deals with children from low-income families in low-income communities, and I have worked with quite a number of parents that find it difficult for JAMB. I think that the 1-year validity, even though it helps to provide standardization and an annual review of the number of children that should go into tertiary institutions, I think we should acknowledge our challenges, and with that, we should have an extended validity of JAMB. Using my personal example, I wrote JAMB more than once. And I did pass all the times that I attended JAMB, but I couldn't use it past the year that I wrote the exams because, of course, we all know that the school you want to go to, you have to pick it as the first choice. The course you want to read, you have to pick it as your first choice. If you want to switch, it starts to become a problem. And so I believe that your JAMB should be flexible. Your JAMB score and the centralized system should be flexible enough for you to be able to transition from one course to another or from one school to another, and the validity should be more than a year. I mean, that can be discussed in terms of how long, but I think because of the nature of our challenge in Nigeria at the moment, we should have more than 1-year validity. Personal opinion.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that. And if we are to look at the controversies that surrounded the conduct of this year's UTME, what advice would you give to JAMB in conducting exams in the future? Although we are waiting for them to do the post-examination analysis, but what advice will you give to them that is considering all the complaints that is already on ground right now?
All right. So based on what we have right now, I believe that we need to further, strengthen JAMB. CBT is not an easy feat. They provided standardization. They've really curbed examination malpractice with what they're doing. And we commend JAM for that. However, there still needs a lot of restructuring of JAM, ensuring that the exams provide a true and fair view of what the children that have gone to school, that have really prepared for these exams, are able to get the right results. We need to invest more in technology. We need to invest more in ensuring that even those that are implementing are, ready, because the rate of the technology issues logging children out, I can't imagine the trauma that these children are going through. They've prepared for over a year. They've gotten ready for an exam. They've had sleepless nights, and then they get to the center, they sit for the exam, and the system loads them out. That is the worst thing that can happen to anyone that prepares for an exam. So I believe that we should, invest more in technology and support the children that have had issues. So in ensuring that we have the adequate technology to write the exams, if there are any issues after, these children should be supported, and there should be a way for these children to rewrite the exams if it has been established that they were logged out before they finished.
Okay, all right. Really, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Galaxy TV News. Thank you so much for joining us.